Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the psychological reasons people do not want kids. There was this one job that I had where I was working with this black girl, and initially she was very quiet. All I knew about her was that she was black. And then one day we were talking and she starts opening up to me. And I start to understand more about her personality. I get to see her beyond her physical appearance. I understand that she's an introvert. I understand that she grew up in a very weird sort of setup for a home. She has apparently 2 stepdads, a bunch of stepbrothers, and it was a big mess. I understand that she's a lesbian. And I understand that she wants 6 kids. That's the part that freaked me out. It's like, wait a minute. How is it that you like girls and you want to have 6 kids? And she was explaining the process of how she would end up still having kids and how costly it would be. And there it was. I thought, this girl who really is not in the natural position to have kids is going out of her way to have kids. 6? That's a lot. So I asked her, why do you want 6 kids? She said, well, nowadays it's 6. Before, I wanted 10. I asked her, why did you want 10? And that's when I noticed that she was saying some stuff that resembled what she may have wanted in her childhood. She's like, I just want a big family so I could give them a home. Go on. I want to give them a home, something that I didn't have because my childhood was so disruptive. Okay, but why 10? Why can't you choose 3 kids? I just want a big home. And I think something about it was psychologically tied to the fact that she had so many stepbrothers and so many stepsisters, and even these different stepdads, that made her just want quantity. And the more that I talked to her, the more that I saw that this girl, she did not just randomly stumble onto 6. There were a lot of these micro decisions that happened in her life that led to the number 6. And likewise, the opposite often happens as well, where there are a lot of these decisions and things that happen in a person's life that causes them to not want any kids. Not even 1, but 0. And in recent generations, this trend has only gotten more and more popular. Many couples are getting together and they are opting out of wanting to have kids. There are people that have issues, fertility issues and such. We're going to exclude them in this video because they have a desire to have kids, but they just physically can't for the time being. We're going to exclude them from today's talk. The people that we are going to be covering are the people that genuinely have 0 desire to have kids. What is causing that? Let's start with the first reason. The first reason is physical pain. A lot of the times when I talk to people that don't want kids, they're like, the girl is like, I just can't do it. I can't even fathom pushing a kid out of down there. I just don't even want to think about it. It's not for me. And when they say that in a very firm sort of way. They will make compromises for plenty of other things in life, but for that physical pain, they just do not want to deal with it. So for that reason, they opt out of wanting to have kids. Another reason is for financial reasons. There are a lot of couples nowadays, they talk about finances so much. I mean, before there was a little bit of secrecy with how much you made, or, if you're getting some bonuses and stuff, you keep certain stuff to yourself. Nowadays, things are different. There are plenty of couples that are going out of their way. They're having these joint bank accounts. They are only talking about money. They watch the Dave Ramsey show together, and they constantly keep thinking about if introducing a child is financially responsible or financially irresponsible. They view having a child from the lens of finances predominantly. And when you view having a child from the lens of finances rather than love, what happens is it doesn't really seem like the smart decision to make, right? Because now you have to spend all this money on diapers, on baby food, on a nanny, babysitting service, etc. It's a lot of money. And this financially responsible couple is trying to weigh the pros and the cons. And each time they have this discussion, they feel as though having a baby, even one kid, is financially irresponsible. So they choose not to have kids. Another reason a couple does not want to have kids is because they had very poor parents. A lot of these influencers, you'll often see them, if they're dinks, dual income, no kids, they'll say stuff like, well, I don't want to have kids because I don't want my kids to suffer the same fate that I did. And what they're referring to is that they had poor parents. And since they had poor parents, psychologically, they think they are going to be poor parents as well. It's very similar to alcohol. Like you'll see a dad is an alcoholic and the dad has two sons. One son chooses not to ever drink alcohol because his dad was an alcoholic, and the other son becomes an alcoholic because his dad was an alcoholic. Two radically different responses. And it's the same thing with if you had very poor parents. One group of people say, well, I'm going to be the most amazing parents and show my parents how the job should have really been done. And then the other group is like, well, I'm not going to ever be a parent because I had poor parents. Similar vibes. So these people, unfortunately, due to having such strained relationships with their parents, they think that they may do the same thing. They may fill up a lot of their day-to-day activities with productive tasks like career expansion, picking up hobbies, skill sets, etc. And they're getting a head start on the excuse game. They're like, look, man, I have all this stuff. If I have a kid, I'm just going to be a bad dad to this kid. It's just not worth it. So this group of people, they typically, I would say, they don't want to have kids because they had poor parents themselves. The fourth reason people don't want to have kids is because they literally just don't want to. There's zero desire, right? Where for the older generation, it didn't really matter about your desire. The generation prior to the older generation, they would always say, this is what you were put on this planet to do. You were born to multiply, keep the family name going. It doesn't really matter about your desires. Where nowadays, people factor in their desires a lot more. So it doesn't matter if they're financially stable, they actually have an abundance of money. It doesn't matter if they had a great relationship with their parents. It doesn't matter if they can have kids. There is no fertility issues or anything like that. There's just zero desire to have kids. Not only one person, but both people. And they keep reinforcing that idea. Like, yeah, why have kids? I mean, look at all these other people with kids, man. They're miserable. They can't sleep. They have to keep changing diapers. Why? So the more that they keep talking with one another, the more that they reinforce this principle. And after a certain period, the chances of you having a kid diminishes, right? So they're having this discussion for years and years and years. And eventually it is too late and they can't really have kids even if they wanted to at this point. And boom, the lack of desire led to 0 kids. So these are a couple of reasons why a lot of people in this generation are choosing not to have kids. I personally think it's better not to have kids if you don't want it, rather than force yourself to have kids if you don't want it, because the world does not need more parents. The world needs better parents. So hopefully this video added some clarity. And if you want more psychological breakdowns, be sure to hit that subscribe button right on below. Hit that bell notification. By hitting that bell notification, you will be recommended my new videos soon as they get released. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will catch you next time.